Okay. And I'll sit close to the microphone.
Hot. Has your
Let's
poor
just sit
tree
here.
fallen over on the top?
It's it's on purpose. Look.
Ah. Oh, it's cute. Yeah, it looks on purpose when you see the whole thing.
Yeah, I guess yeah, halfway up right there. I'm still working on how to decorate it, okay? Right now I
No,
just
it's
have a little
hot.
ghost. Thank you, thank you. Still working, figuring things out. The bottom's still bare, These are the problems that I'm facing right now.
What you need
But
is like if you really want something truly horrific, you just need my face in various hiding parts of the tree.
I should. I should do that. I should just make little ornaments with your face.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I'll make scary faces and everything.
Perfect. I'd love that. I'd love that. Or maybe just, put your anal beads that you have created.
On the top, that'd make it really droop.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been waiting. I know you've been busy and you've
I
also been
know.
really sick, but you need to push all that to the side
I
and
know.
start posting some more. We
Y- You know what?
need to feel
I
better.
was gonna push it all to the side and do more on the weekend, and then Phil got sick. So
Oh no.
I was like, I feel like I'm ready. I could get a few, and then the poor thing, he probably got what I just had. Which
Yeah.
is also comforting because I was really worried I had like some kind of bad chest infection because it's been like a month and I was still sick and it got worse even. But seeing that he got sick, I must have just got picked up something from somewhere. Honestly,
Yeah.
next year I'm getting the vaccine. Next year,
Right.
like I kind of thought, flu vaccine, but like no. And also I feels kind of like uneducated in a way because I kind of didn't really differentiate mentally between the cold and the flu much. But like the flu,
Hmm.
influenza, she takes you out. Like she takes you down to funky town and you are not sure you're going to live through it. You get to a point and you're like, this is why people died from the plagues because you just can't breathe properly, you know? And you just like,
Yeah.
if I cough one more time, I nearly put my back out. I'm laughing
No,
now.
right. No, it's you can laugh now because you've gone through it and you're on the mend. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, it sucks.
it sucks.
I've seen
And
people like cough so hard where they like blow out their a vein in their eye.
yeah, no, I'm not surprised. It's really like aggressive on your body. And if you get one after the other, like I did, I don't know whether I had COVID and then influenza again, like last year. It's 2 years in a row. I got the double whammy of probably COVID and then influenza. I think living in the city, it's kind of hard to avoid, but also I won't be letting no toddlers take my temperature anymore. But I mean, the thing is, you've got to live your life as well. You know what I mean? Like, you can't avoid
Yes.
everything. And so I think this year has educated my ass, and I am fucking getting the flu vaccine next flu season. So, but even like,
You
I
know what? That's
actually,
good advice.
it is good. I actually went to hospital because like I could hardly breathe one day, and I was just like, I don't want to. I think I'm okay, but I don't want to be the idiot who asphyxiates at home. Because I was taking deep breaths, but I just wasn't getting. Felt like I wasn't getting enough air. And the doctor who just like checked me over and was like, "You're fine. You're getting air." But they were like, "But it's been a really dreadful flu season, so just take it easy." They're like, "Just take it easy the next few weeks." And I was like, "Ah."
But I
So.
have anal beads to have a photo shoot with. Doc, I'm sorry. I have anal beads waiting for me at home.
Right? You'll have to wait a while for my one. But
Okay, fine.
I do have the next one all planned out. I just Poor Philip was coughing and sneezing, and I was like, I just can't. I know if I really wanted it, he would be like, okay, I'll take Panadol. I was like, no, I can't do it to him. So you'll have to just wait. You'll have to just
Yeah.
wait. At
Yeah.
some point, probably this week, there'll be something new.
They're good. Once Phil's on the mend, we shall wait. It'll be worth it.
It
Yes.
will.
Welcome everybody to a publishing persuasion. I'm Angela Montoya with my co-host Melanie Schubert, my co-host and my co-editor in our holiday anthology, Jingle These Bells, which we love to hear about. I think the more we talk about it, the better because it's so exciting and so awesome. While Melanie was basically on her deathbed, we were also editing like the
Mm.
last draft and last version of Jingle These Bells. We had all of our short stories in, they're clean, they're done.
They're
And
done.
so now we're getting ready to format and all the last like little bits and pieces, which is wild. So yeah, Melanie sacrificed her health for this book.
Much like the eye of a cyclone or whatever, hurricane
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah.
Um, Thankfully, the time when we did those last two mega read-throughs in a short space of time was kind of in between either end of this. So there was like a bit of I don't know, my body just kind of put it on hold a bit to get those last read-throughs done. But like when I finished that final one we had to do looking for formatting and a few rogue words. That one definitely, when I finished that, I just like collapsed.
She
My body
crashed.
was like, she's
Yes.
done. She's done.
Yeah. You have done the work and your body said enough. It is time to rest, child.
But I also
Yeah.
just feel like I want to take a moment to just like be in awe and bow down at the speed of your reading skills.
Oh
Like
my gosh. I
I
know.
Angela was over here. You're glorifying me, but I just want to talk about how the fact I sent it to you and in and you got through it and like with like a bird's eye view, like you found little things still, the last lingering typos. Like, did you move from the screen that day? Did you eat? Did you shit? Because I feel like you just didn't move that day.
Yeah. I shit my pants. I shit my pants. That's how I did it. No, yeah, I that day because I knew we were trying to get it done
Yeah,
and we were like in that final last stage, and so I was like, no, fuck this. I'm sitting my ass down and I am like going for it. Yeah, I started probably like at 5, 6 in the morning,
wow.
and then only got up to like take Adrian to school or those kind of things, or just to stand, and then I would hover over the screen.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I was in it. One for me especially, like I always feel like once I have my mind set on like I want to finish this thing, I will not stop
Mm.
until it's done. I don't care what's happening around me. I'm doing it. So yeah, I shit my pants. That's basically how I got through it. Yeah, but like every single time, I always like message Melanie and back and forth. We both have been of just like, oh my God, I love this story more than I remembered even loving it, even though
Yeah,
I just read it like 3 days ago. They're all so good and so special. So I'm excited.
they
Excited to
are.
be done reading it.
Yeah, I am. But I'll probably read it again once it's like
Oh
printed and
yeah.
found it. But like the not interesting, the amazing part when we did the final read through was reading them in order because we had to put them in a order, which was really hard to decide because you want it to flow nicely. And I just feel like our flow in that like the way they all flow into each other and the variance you get. Here's a magical one, here's a contemporary, here's a spicy one, here's a like I feel like it just did you feel like the flow was perfect? I feel like we nailed
The
it.
flow was great. There's no we in this. You came up with the flow.
But you approved. You approved.
I approved. I approved, and your spice rating, everything. But it is perfect. You did a fabulous, wonderful, glorious job. So yeah, and we will have a little spice rating or little flaming jingle bells. Which have we figured those out yet?
Robin's on it.
Done. Okay. Okay.
I think it'll be whatever she comes up with is going to be hot. You know what I mean? Robin's
Yeah.
idea of giving it like a casual go is like most people's idea of like doing a whole fucking course and then, getting a professional to look over it. She's like, I'll just whip something up. But I'm like, okay, but it's like the best.
Yeah, right?
You know,
No, Robin Alvarez kills it. Like when she said, "Oh yeah, I could try to do you guys'
the
cover."
cover. Yeah.
And when she was like, "Here, let me know what your thoughts are." Like all like,
Coy. All
nervous and
coy
and
and nervous.
coy. And then she hit us with the cover and I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? This is not what I was expecting at
No,
all. This is 1,000 times better. It's so good." So yeah, Robin makes us professional.
she does.
Yeah.
None of this would be possible without her. Like
No.
we'd probably still be drawing peas in the dirt and be, you know, you.
Literally.
Ah,
Oh, you know what she sent me though,
what?
Robin, because she was at the Twilight in
Oh
Forks. I don't know
yeah,
what the festival's called, but she was at the festival of my dreams. Okay,
you know.
she sent me a video of Carlisle, like literally just a few feet in front of her. I don't know the actor's actual name. It's just Carlisle. He was right there. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And she saw the author, Stephanie
Yeah,
Myers. I'm so
yeah,
bad with names, but she
me
saw
too.
that author. Like she was living the life.
Did
Like,
your heart skip a beat for Carlisle? Is he still blossoming? Still aging
oh
like
my god,
fine
he's
win?
way better.
Or
To be
better?
honest, I don't really find him actually good looking, to be honest.
Oh, this confession after all this time of you frothing over him, but you still rate Pedro Pascal, right?
Oh,
Okay. I
yes,
just had to
yes,
check because now you're shaking my
yes.
cloaca by telling me you never thought Carlisle was hot. When all these years you've been a quiver about Carlisle, so just had to
It's
check,
true.
is Daddy Pedro still in?
Oh, of course, of course. He'll never lose his throne. No, I think for me, Carlisle was just, he was a personality hire for me. He was, he's a doctor, he's got a good family. He's a good
Mm,
man, but in the video, that of him, like the actual human, the
yeah.
actor, he looked way better because he wasn't like ghostly pale and like
Mm,
weirdly blonde.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
actually in his natural state, so he was better. But the like Carlisle from Twilight,
yeah.
no, I don't find him attractive.
I'm gonna have to mourn this loss of your personality because I really thought that that was a thing, but I do see your point. It's got to be a wig, that particular blonde that he is in that movie. But how have you been otherwise?
I've been good. Like, uh, I've been good. I don't even know what the hell I've been doing this
Yeah,
last little
good.
bit.
I love that. You really have earned
Yeah,
some, I don't know what I did with that last week time. That's glorious.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I really and truly do not know where the fuck I've been, where I've been doing, have I been living. What have I been doing? I don't know, but I've been good apparently. I've been, living the life. We celebrated Armando's birthday this weekend. Football is back on, so that's
Wow.
I went fishing. I went fishing. I got
Did
my
you?
fishing license.
Did you
Yeah.
catch anything?
No, but I was there and
What
that's
a
that's all that
hunter-gatherer!
matters. Yeah, yeah. Well, because we have a creek that runs behind our property,
Yeah,
and so we just went up the creek and we're just casting as we were going. So you know,
I have a
yes,
question, Your
Melanie,
Honor.
yes.
You need a license to fish in your own creek?
Well, it's not our creek, so it's like a public thing. But yeah, just
Ah,
like in general, you have to have a fishing license. Like if you're going out to fish, I don't remember why. I'm sure it's just a capitalism thing.
no, it's
But
the
but
same
you're supposed to
here.
know the rules.
Yeah,
You're supposed to
yeah.
know the rules of what fish you're supposed to catch and what fish you're not supposed to catch. I don't know those rules, but Armando does. He understands the laws of the land.
Mhm.
I'm just there.
Your license is fake as fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love it.
It's
I
true.
live for the fishing Montoya. Fishing is actually super fun, and it's actually
Yeah.
is delicious. Like fresh caught fish, just straight out of the ocean, and then on like
Oh,
the
it's so good.
on the fire coals or whatever if you're camping. Like it really is special getting that like paddock to plate or whatever they call it, or
Yes. Oh my gosh.
sea.
Yeah, my in-laws, they're like huge fishers. So they go to the ocean, they go to the bay and they catch halibut, like these
Oh,
big old
yeah.
halibut. Oh my God, it's so good. And my father-in-law is like an amazing cook. So like
Wow.
anytime they're going fishing, I'm like, "Hey guys, can we come over? I want some
I love
food."
that. I know
So yeah.
halibut just from Gordon Ramsay shows. Gordon Ramsay
Oh.
always cooks halibut. It's a
Oh,
fancy
see,
fish, right?
it's so good. Oh my God, it's so good.
Oh my gosh,
So
I live for this
that's what
era,
I've been
but
doing.
no, I love it though. I love it because like it's we so need those rumbling, rolling days where you can't really remember what time you woke up, what you really did, what you really ate. It's just like that for me. I'm so happy to hear that you've like had some of those just like I don't know, days.
Yeah, just hanging out. Well, I'm not kidding. Like since because Alicia turned 18, she's at university. Since this has all happened, I have really, I think I went through a midlife crisis of just like,
Mm.
okay, like my brain started going like, okay, she's 18, in 10 years or whatever, I'm gonna be a grandma, and if she decides to have children, and then I have like a solid 30 years left. And so my brain has already gone to I'm going to die soon. So I have to start living. And for some reason fishing was a thing. Oh, plus she's out of the house, so it's like, I got to do something. So yeah, this is me living my life.
I fucking love it though, but that's the way to do it. And yeah, I'm hugging you. I do that as well, like the math. How many decades, how many like viable.
Right?
We all be having those existential moments, and we laugh about it now, but when you're in that spiral, it's not fun.
It's not a good place to be because I'm already like, okay, this is it, guys. I only got 40 more years left, 50 more years
But
left in me.
if you want to think about it though, we're living like double the age people used to live, so you're kind of just getting started, you
That's what I
know?
like to think. Yes. That's
Yeah.
that's where we're going with. We're going with that. We got
But I
lots
can only
lots in
imagine
store.
like when you've like centered your life around these people that you brought into the world, like, and then that shifts, of course, that's going to be like a cataclysmic shift. But I'm so glad you found fishing and that fishing found you because, but it is those simple things in life that just like remind you that you're alive and like help
Mm,
you find like a different rhythm to what you've been living so far because yeah the rhythm has
yeah.
changed, a very uh prominent part has shifted, and so
It's true.
yeah, but
It's
I'm just proud
true.
of
And
you for
yeah.
picking something outside of writing as well because it's tempting to lose yourself in work when like
Yeah.
you're experiencing that rather than like water different parts or sit with the pain of it or whatever. What were you gonna say?
Yes. No, I was going to touch on that as well because writing is such a huge part of my life. Being an author is such a big part of my life that it's like all of my life.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be like I want to get out and live and enjoy things. And when you are out in nature, you're just like, "Oh, wait a minute. Like this is not that big a deal." Like all
Yeah.
of these things that you focus on and you're so stressed about when it becomes to being an author becomes less of a big deal. And I was talking about this actually with Jessica Para of like these are just books.
Yeah.
And yes, obviously, and I've said this many times on this show. Obviously, yes, they're more than books. There are lives, but there is real life to be living outside of books. And so I've been trying to do that. I've been trying to be mindful and
Yeah.
do that as well. But yeah, we don't have to make it our whole personality, I guess.
I
Whatever.
know. It's hard not to sometimes, but yeah, I also find that those kind of quieter moments in nature or just like existing outside of the rabid workflow is also the moments I come to peace with my humanity. Because, like
Mm,
we have those spirals, but what we don't talk about is when the spiral ends and how we manage to find peace and continue on with our existence and
yeah.
whatever time we're given. And I think that that's so beautiful and powerful and underrated. And and yeah, like it doesn't always feel, at least for me, like it doesn't always feel like a chokehold. There are moments when I'm at peace with that circle of life, if that makes sense. There's plenty of moments I hate it. And I'm just like, nobody wants to think about death and dying and stuff, but like it's kind of amazing that we can continue on and like always look for the joy and hope and find our peace in the great circle of life. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I do. I have been listening more often. I've been trying my best to meditate as well. So shout out to Melanie Schubert. And it really does ground you. So
Yeah.
I've been trying my best to do the things and just like not forget about the stresses of being an author and like imposter syndrome and the comparison game. Those are always there, but it's like a good way of like combating it is just centering and focusing on myself
Mm.
and like grounding myself and finding the joy in just like living. So I
Yeah.
also finally got the actual book of Big Magic
Yes, let's read
because
it.
I've always listened to the audiobook, but now I want to like write and scribble in it. So I think we're gonna have to do like a Big Magic read along or something.
I'm so down to read it again at any moment, any time. Because when I find a lot of four-leaf clovers, as you know, and I always press them in that book. So I always use that as an opportunity to just like give myself a little inspiration boost. And without fail, she just hits it on the head, all of that. And that what you were just talking about, though, unwrapping it, like kind of unwrapping our identity from writing, like it really is a game changer. Like, honestly, this morning was not a good morning in Writerland. Like, I got a rejection from a submission that I was really hopeful for. From an editor that I was like, oh, she could be the one, you know? You know when you just feel it
Yeah.
and then it's
Yeah.
no. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like the first half an hour after that, I went through the full range, man. Like I went through the full range of just like, why am I even doing this? Like I'm still
Mm,
all these years in and I can't sell a book. And it like the gravity of that when it hits you, it's like a freight train. And you're just like, wait, why am I doing this? No one wants my books. Like
mm,
time has proven no one wants my books. That's what you tell yourself in that moment. And honestly, like it is actually wild we had Lynn in particular on today because what she said so specifically, like, or maybe I just heard what I wanted to hear from it, but like, she is someone who had such a long query and such a long submission process. And I think that, like, it was kind of the reminder I needed. Although I will say I kind of picked myself up before that. And that's what I was coming back to, where I was just like, at one point my identity was tied into it in some way, and it felt like if I didn't achieve XYZ by XYZ, it meant something. But I
mm,
think like when you unwind your identity from it, it's not such a heavy blow. And you can take that moment and be like, well, do I still want to be here? Do I still love what I'm doing? And those are the questions you answer instead of like the kind of rabid, frenzied writer thing. But yeah, just hearing her talk about like how long it actually took her, I was just like, probably still got it in me to keep going, you know? Because
Still got some time in
literally
me.
everybody I look up to has had to suffer. It is an industry of suffering. It's just when you have those mo little moments alone with yourself, the imposter syndrome is strong. And it can be so easy to give into that voice that's like, why am I doing this? But I think that's why, like we always say, the community is so important because I'm just like, well, so is all my friends suffering in different ways at different times through this. And even a big badass author like her who seems to have it all together, who seems to have all the things happening, but she fucking suffered for like 20 years before before
Right.
this point, you know?
Yes. No, and I love hearing stories like that because it is this great reminder because we just see this massive success that she has, books that are just like bestsellers, but before all that she was in the thick of it. She was in the trenches like feeling
Mm,
all of those feelings, but she kept going. And I really like what she was not to spoiler, but she was kind of saying like then she found her proper voice and like
mm,
found the books that called to her.
yeah.
So like again, we talk about that a lot too, is like the art of the shift, the pivot, and she was able to do that too. So yeah, I think it's always just like remembering your why and leaning into it because God, it's such a killer, it's such a bitch, but
It
For
is.
you, what is your why right now? Like, is it spite? Is it like you want to have them books out? Like,
It's a good question. And at some point, and that's probably why I was like having this moment actually, because at some point it was spite, and I was like, I'm just gonna get something on the shelf and then I can just say I've done it and I can go from there and see, do I want to keep doing it? But I think, and then what the mistake I didn't want to make is there's a certain type of I've invested so much in this I can't let it go type of feeling that people can have.
yeah,
And I think I wanted to make sure that I haven't been staying in it because of that. Because I could pivot, I could do a different career. Like there's so much of life to taste, and there's so many different paths I could trod. But I think there's something about this industry, it warts and all, that still feels like possibility, like hope. And I think I love the chase. Like if I'm really honest with myself, if it was easy to get, everyone would do it, you know? And it is hard and it's really fucking hard. Harder than I expected. But I think the person I've become through the process of this community, this career, that to me is priceless.
mm,
So as long as like my life and my soul is growing as a result of being in this place, for now I don't see a reason to turn away from it. And it's a lie that nobody wants to read my work. They do. That's the lie the imposter syndrome tells you when you get a rejection. But it's a rejection on one project. Tomorrow I could sell the next New York Times bestseller. That's just this
yeah,
industry. And I think what's so hard is I fucking love this book on submission. I fucking love it and I know it's good. And so it's hard to hear no when you know you got it to a certain level. But that's just business. It's literally just business and timing at this point. And yeah, I think I'm just too proud of who I've become through this process. I'm not so proud that if it didn't feel like it was serving me anymore, that I wouldn't move on. I know that's a possibility. But I don't know. Life is good, and I feel so lucky that I can do this still. So for now, we continue, you know?
yes, that's beautiful and so inspiring. And I can only imagine how many of our listeners are going to really feel that in their gut. And I feel it as well. Like this journey and the people that we've become through this
Mm,
journey, the life lessons that we've learned, the people that we have become better because of all of that we've gone through, all the no's, all the life lessons, everything.
yeah.
You've become a better human being. Um and it's part of that chase too is so like it's fun.
It's
It's
fun.
really really fun to like wake up and be like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe today's the day, and like have something to look forward to. And the no's hurt obviously, but like you said, it's warts and all, but that chase is the thing. And it's like as soon as you get to one thing, you're like, okay, well, what next? And it just gives you this purpose in life of like,
Yeah.
okay, here I am, I'm going to write these stories. Okay, on to the next story, and let me try this other story. And it's like I saw this guy post on TikTok, and he was just kind of saying like, to the people who write something, a story, a poem, a song, whatever it is, and then you put it out into the world and then you move on to the next thing, he's like,
Mm,
you're doing something right because
yeah.
you're not just like stuck on the one thing. You're like, you continue on, and you're breathing life into something else. And I was just thinking like, oh, that is so beautiful. um because
Yeah.
we continue to create, especially in a world where it's so easy to want to block out everything and like hide away and feel the bad and just like see all the shit that we see every day, and it's so easy to like
Yeah.
lose the creativity, but we do it anyway and we keep
Mm,
going, and like beautiful things come from all the shit that gets mashed up in our brains. Yeah, it really is beautiful, and you do belong here, and people do want to hear your words, and your stories are amazing. So just like what Lynn said, it just, we're waiting on just one yes.
that's it, eh?
And it
That
doesn't have to be a
moved me.
big explosion of yeses. Yeah, right. When I heard that, I was like,
Because
yes,
yeah,
Lynn, speak.
ultimately, I feel like your imposter syndrome, it looks for loopholes. It looks for somewhere to
Mm,
put the blame. And it's just, and that's like, that was the comforting part. Even when I felt that heavily this morning, I was just like, that's just your imposter syndrome looking for somewhere to make sense of this. But this is a career where, like Lynn said, and like many of our guests have said, even at the upper levels, we're all just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And it's terrifying, but it's also what's so exciting about this career. That's the thing. And if you can still be excited in amongst that all, then I think it's enough reason to stay, at least for me, you know?
Fuck yes, Melanie. She's throwing bars today. Oh my, wait, we have 3 minutes.
We've got 2 minutes. There was so much I wanted to say.
Well, we're gonna record tomorrow as well, right? It's tomorrow.
True. Yeah. Do you want me to do the
Amazing.
bio? You've done so many lately. I do have it
Oh, have
somewhere.
I?
So, as we have just ranted and raved, and our guest today, though, is so worthy of all the ranting. None other than the Lynn Painter, the USA Today and New York Times best-selling author of Better Than the Movies. She writes romantic comedies for teens and adults, and when she isn't reading or writing, she can be found binge-watching rom-coms or shotgunning energy drinks.
I love her. I love Lynn.
She was just really like, just cool. And like everything she said, because that's the thing. Sometimes it really does require putting your ego aside. Like completely. You really, I think writing is a constant barrage on your ego. Like, and
That's the truth.
yeah, whether it's because you feel like you're king shit or whether it's because you feel like you're being shit on, it is a balancing act of ego doing a career like this. And yeah, as always, our guests often remind me, like, why that I'm not like completely delusional for
No,
continuing on this journey.
you're not. You're not. You belong here. And I think Lynn came at the perfect time to remind you and to remind us all that we belong here
Yeah,
and like to keep going.
yeah.
It's
I think if that's
great.
it, if you find home here, then you belong. You know what I mean? Like, that's, I, Smokey.
Did you
Smokey's
that
like
was aggressive.
aggressive girl. He's been does he need to shit? He's been
Yeah,
pacing
I think
behind
so.
you. It's funny because Goose has come here and she never comes here on the floor beside me. They are over us. They're like, you motherfuckers have been staring at that screen.
Yeah.
We need a shit. We need to eat. They're giving us, because look at him go. He's pacing like grumpy at you. But yeah, good
Smokey's got a
call.
shit. Yeah.
Hello.
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 How are you guys?
Oh my
Good.
gosh, so good. We're so excited to have you on.
Okay, is that a Halloween tree I see behind you?
It sure is. It
That is
sure
amazing.
is. Thank you. Let me go. There you go. I'll tilt it back.
Majestical.
She's got a
I
little
love it.
curve. Thank you. Thank you.
How long
Wait,
has it
so
been
it's
up?
actually a thing. It's actually a trending thing now? I
I, is
It is.
it?
I'm making it one.
You are the trendsetter, I think.
Yeah, it's happening here. I put all of my like Halloween stuff up September 1st.
I love it. I love it.
I figured, you know what? I need some happiness. I need some joy in my
Yes,
life.
absolutely.
It's time to decorate. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Melanie and I will introduce you like on a separate recording, just so we have more time to chat with you right
Cool.
now.
All right.
Because you're so amazing and we're so thrilled to
Oh.
have you on.
Well,
And
thank
I
you.
see, yeah, of course. Okay, I see you have dark nails. So are you in the Halloween spirit yet?
And I'm always ready to jump into the fall. I haven't done anything in my house yet, but mostly because we moved here like in December. So everything is still like mystery garage boxes, where you're like, I know Halloween lives out there somewhere, but I'm not sure where. So it's like I
Yeah.
want it to happen now, but I have to make it happen, and that's not, you know, great.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah. No, it's a
understandable.
lot.
Moving is like such a disaster time, so
Oh,
it's totally understandable to not be
it
decorating.
totally. Now, where are you guys located? And then I'll
I
shut up so we can actually do the podcast.
No.
No, we love this. We love that. We're going to ask you nosy things. So we hope you ask us right in return. I'm in
Okay.
California. I'm in Northern California.
And I'm in
Right.
Melbourne, Australia.
Well, I heard your accent and I'm like, wait, where are we right now?
We are everywhere.
Yes, we span the globe, quite literally. We're all over the
Wow.
place. Yeah.
Nice.
It's really fun though, to be honest, because we get to for me, I get to meet Aussie authors, and then we get to have obviously authors from the States and just all around. So it's really, really fun.
That's really cool. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. We love our authors. And we already love you and your fabulous, amazing books. Now to also be asking questions, we'd like to know our favorite question, which is what is the strangest thing that you own?
The strangest thing that I own. Well, I feel like if I dug deep, I could find really bizarre things.
Mm.
But I think the thing that pops into my head is probably I've got this weird mangy like stuffed squirrel that my husband bought for me a million years ago because there was a movie like I think it came out like in the 80s or something with Chevy Chase called Funny Farm and he wanted to like write the great American novel and there was a squirrel in it. So when I was like trying to make writing happen, my husband randomly like bought it for me and it was so sweet and I put it on a shelf and then when it actually happened, I'm always like, oh, it's because of squirrel. So I'm sure that people would be like, what is that? And I'm like, no, that's magical. It's the magic squirrel. So I suppose that might be one of the strangest things I own.
I
I
mean,
love
yeah.
that. I love a mangy squirrel. Yeah.
If only
We
it
don't.
were actually, like a taxidermied squirrel, that would be a better story. Like if it were like roadkill reincarnated, but it's actually just as stuffy.
Oh my God, I was picturing taxidermy because I kind of like have this fascination with weird taxidermy shit, and it seems to be really popular in the States. But that might just be in movies. Is it as popular as it seems in movies? Are there whole stores dedicated to it?
I think maybe it depends geographically where you are.
Yeah.
The
Mm.
States is so like that. Like you go to a certain town and you're like, everything's different and weird here. And then you go to your town and I'm sure people think that about yours. So it
It's
depends where
true.
you are. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a high school up a little bit north of us, and they have a taxidermy bear, like a whole bear in the office. And
Wow.
yeah, so I mean it's a full on I mean, and it looks pretty mangy. I mean, it's been there for a while. Like that bear's seen better
Mm.
days.
They
It's
don't
not a new
age
bear.
well. From what I've seen of taxidermy beasts, they don't age well. It's like a semi-preservation, They're
Right.
still decomposing. It's just very, very slow.
True.
I
It's
love
true.
that.
Well, now I'm excited to know what is something you think about way too often.
You know what? I probably think way too often about I'm still stuck on the Golden State Killer. I don't know if you guys
Ooh.
were into like when that documentary came out, and then I read the book by Patton Oswalt's late wife because she was like that I don't know if everybody knows who he is. He's like a comedian actor. But his late wife, like she was obsessed with the murders of the serial killer and he like killed people in the 70s, I think it was, and nobody ever found out who did it. And she got super into tracking the case. And literally because of her like one woman research, it almost like the cold case got opened up and then they ended up finding the killer like after she had passed. But it was
Wow.
like this amazing and like the book read like fiction. Like if you ever, I can't see where it is. If you ever have a chance to read the book, it's so good. And anyways, when you think about things I'm obsessed with, sometimes that still pops into my head where I'm like, I can't believe one woman figured it all out.
Oh my
Mm.
gosh. Yes. We love women that are like once they get something in our brains, we're like, I'm
Right?
gonna solve this serial
Exactly.
killer
Like I'm
mystery.
gonna stay up all night and not sleep for days and figure this out. I love it.
Yeah. Was that one okay, well, I guess I'll have to ask you separately because was that one where he's from Northern California? I think
Yes.
okay, my house growing up, we were neighbors with him or his wife, and one of them, I think the wife was found. Obviously, this is lore before I was born, I think.
Right.
But I believe the wife was found in the backyard,
Oh my God.
um,
No.
in Auburn, California. I don't know. Look it up, but I that's the lore that my family always talks about. Was that yeah, we were
Whoa.
neighbors. So you
Wild.
know,
Wild.
you know,
Yeah.
just
Wow,
fun facts.
neighbors of a murderer, and I believe your family also invented the chia pet.
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
She's
yeah,
just a celebrity.
yeah.
Are
Just
you
lore.
serious?
Yeah,
Yeah,
her
well, it's
family,
a
like some uncle,
yeah.
invented those chia pets.
Yeah, in Mexico, and then obviously got bought out, and
No
for a
way.
lot of money. Yeah, pretty
Wow. I have a Bob Ross chip
random
in
lore.
the garage that I never poured water on, so he's still bald and just a rock. But
Yeah.
someday I'll open that box and do something with it.
Yes. Yeah. We have RuPaul ones, but the Bob Ross one, that's a
That would
good
be
one. That's a
iconic.
good one.
Yeah.
Got it in
Yeah.
like a holiday, one of those like white elephant gift exchange. And I'm like, I'm for sure gonna grow his hair. And it's been years and it's still in the garage. So someday I will grow his hair. Maybe tonight I'll go do.
Do it tonight. It
Yes.
can be
I'll
your
do it for
Yeah.
new
you guys.
lucky squirrel.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of lucky squirrels, I want to take it back to like where it all began for you. Like, did you know you always wanted to be a writer? Like, can you tell us a little bit about your origin story?
Mm.
Honestly, I feel like I was so clueless. Like sometimes I'll be on panels and I'll be with like these amazing authors and they'll be like, my mom still has like my first book that I wrote in third grade. And I'm always like, are you kidding me? Because I was so like, it never occurred to me. Like growing up, I always loved reading. I was reading all the time. And, like literature classes and composition classes were always my favorite and came easier to me. But I never had a bell go off. Like, oh, it's time to go away to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it wasn't
Mm.
until I was married with kids that my sister came over to my house one day and was like, oh, I just saw this author on like the Ellen show or something. And she's like, as much as you read books, maybe you should try writing them. And it's such an inane, like one-off comment, like, oh, you like pills, you should be a doctor, sort of like a weird thing. But it's like I
Yeah.
started writing for fun and I found just my favorite thing to do, just my favorite hobby. All I wanted to do was ignore the world and write all day. And I started writing and I wrote a lot of really awful, awful manuscripts. Um, but then I went back to the University of Nebraska and studied in the writer's workshop. And then I had that moment like, this is really what I want to do. And then it took, like a million more years to actually stop getting rejected. Um,
Mm.
but then it finally happened. So I took the long road. I feel like if I were a little more intuitive and not so clueless, I might have figured this out much sooner.
Mm.
But I did not figure it out till much later than I wished I would have. So
Yeah. I kind of want to cycle back to that and like your author journey. Tell us a little bit about the years of rejection and what that looked like for you.
oh my gosh. Well, so like when I first started, like for fun, when I just discovered it, like, oh, I should
Mm.
write a book. I remember the first book I wrote, I think I titled it like Beyond Texas. And it was like a story of like a rancher's daughter and a ranch hand, which is really funny when I look back now because I'm like, I had never been on a ranch. I had never been to Texas at the time. I'm allergic to everything with fur. So I've never even like been on a horse. Yet
Mm.
somehow I thought that this was the book I should have written. But I was reading lots of like cowboy romance back then. Um, but I spent a lot of years writing for fun and thinking like, oh, it'd be cool to be an author, but not really, you write when you have
Mm.
time. And when do any of us have time for anything? You just don't, unless you make it a priority. And it wasn't until probably I would say like 6 or 7 years later that I had my youngest child, and for some reason something went off in my head, and I was like, okay, every time she naps, I'm gonna write. So it's like, well, okay, I'm actually getting out of order. Then I went back to the university in between these, before I had my last daughter. I went back to the university and studied and really fell in love with writer's workshop and critiquing other people's work and, analyzing it and really being a lot more intentional with it. But I still, just wasn't having the time, and putting I guess, the commitment, I guess, to it. And it wasn't until, and I probably wrote and because if you want to be traditionally published, as opposed to independently, if you want a publisher in New York to pick up your book and publish it for you, you have to have an agent first. And so if you want to get an agent, you have to send out query letters. This is what my book is about, and hope that they'll be like, ooh, send me pages, and then you'll end up with an agent. And so I probably queried for 10 years,
Oh,
probably four or five
Okay.
different books, and never got a yes. And then when I had my last daughter, something went off in my head and I was like, okay, when she naps, I'm going to go in the bedroom and close the door. And so, on the weekends, my writing was 2 hours in the afternoon. And then on Friday and Saturday nights, when I put her to bed at 7, I would chug energy drinks and stay up until I couldn't stay up anymore. And my first 4 books, I think, were written on that schedule of just
Wow.
short little, but I do feel like for a lot of us, that when you are limited in your time, you're more productive.
Mm.
It's precious, it's valuable. So the second that door would close, I would, be all in on writing. But it was probably, I mean, I hate to admit this because I don't ever want to age myself, but I think I was rejected for 15 years before I finally got the Better Than the Movies. It's like I finally got an agent with the first YA book I wrote, which wasn't a rom-com. It was just like a contemporary young adult. It was like my spin on The Great Gatsby, but
Mm.
YA. And that's when I finally got an agent. But then that book went out to submissions and publishers were really nice and we got close, but it ended up being shelved. But the book after that was Better Than the Movies, and then everything went great. So a lot of times it's funny because people will look and they'll be like, Better Than the Movies came out in 2021. They're like, wow, this has been, like in 5 years it all happened. And I'm like, well, sort of. It looks like that on
Mm.
paper, but it's actually been like 100, it's been 84 years since I started writing and ended up getting a published book. So
Wow.
that
Damn.
was
I
way more
honestly,
rambling.
yeah, I love hearing this because so often, yeah, like you were saying, we see all the success, but we don't see all of the struggle and battles that you're going through to get to that success. And it's why I love having this podcast and getting to talk to authors, just to understand like what you've gone through to get to where you
Yeah.
are. Now, when you finally like had that book out and you had success, did you pull from books that you had written previously, or are all those just like brand new book babies that you have written from 2020 on?
They're pretty much all brand new book babies because the majority of my rejected works, I was trying to write adult romance for most of it.
Mm.
And that's what I was getting rejected on. And then I read Looking for Alaska and Paper Towns by John Green. And something about that voice, that young adult voice, I was like, this feels comfortable. This feels like maybe something I should try writing. Like it just felt comfortable. And so then I finally wrote a YA and like I said, it didn't sell, but once I got in that headspace, it just felt like a really, I don't know. I think my husband jokes that my frontal lobe is never closed. And he might be right. I should probably donate my brain to science someday and see if that's actually true, but young adult just feels really comfortable when I'm writing it. It feels natural. And so I feel like that kind of is what, I don't know if I'd say changed everything, but it took me in a different direction than I hadn't planned on. I was never like, oh, I want to write books for teenagers. But once I started writing a book and getting in a teenager's head, I fell in love with being there, and then that sort of took on. So I haven't really repurposed any of those crappy old manuscripts I wrote.
I think it trickles through in some way that like you never expect. And it's all like trained you to be this amazing writer that you are. And even just to find like that your voice is in YA, I think sometimes you need to do the thing that wasn't for you to see how right the thing is that you're doing now. Do
Absolutely, I think that because I wasn't reading a lot of YA. People will be like,
Mm.
"Oh, you must love it," and like voraciously devour it. And I was like, "No, I was always reading like adult smut." But then I read John Green, and it was like, "This feels comfortable for me." So you just, I guess you don't know. And they always say you should read widely. I was on a panel with Neil Shusterman once, and he's so brilliant. And he was just talking about the best advice he ever got was like, you like writing fantasy? He's like, stop writing fantasy. He's like, go try writing contemporary or go write a mystery or go write a romance because you just spread your wings and it just changes the way you write. And it was so brilliant. And I should really listen to smart people more.
Mm. Yeah,
Mhm.
the unexpected
I
pivots,
love that. I love
and you're
that.
now looking at two proud editors, publishers of Smut who did an unexpected pivot. So it definitely resonates because I started
Love it.
writing middle grade and found myself editing Smut. So you just never know which way it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Is there something, so you've been in the industry for a while now. Is there something that's surprised you about it?
wouldn't say surprised, but I feel like it's every day I rediscover two truths that, first of all, book people are the most amazing people. Like we can
Mhm.
all denigrate parts of the industry, as a big corporation. You're like, oh, it's bad because of this, or this is a problem. But literally, like every editor, publicist, author, every book person I meet is always delightful and wonderful and exactly like you want book people to be. So I'm always shocked. Like, even if you meet like a CEO of a publisher, you're like, he's talking about when he used to sell books at the mall and, falling in love with reading when he was a kid. Like, there's such a purity to a lot of facets of publishing that I really love. And I know there's also a lot of not. Um, and then also I think that I'm always surprised by the fact that all of us in the business are literally just trying, just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. It's like there's all of these big departments, that have all of this greater purpose, but then you're still all like, what's working? What are people reading? How do we get them to read this? Okay, that works. Let's try that. And then you're like, no, everybody's doing that. And then something magical will pop up. And then everybody runs and tries that. And it's just like constantly like chasing the unicorns and trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
Mm.
I like your perspective on that because it's, so often we're like, you hear people complain about that,
hmm
about the industry, like, oh, we just don't know. But I love how you think about it. Like, well, no, that's part of the fun is chasing after the unknown.
Yeah,
I
I
love
mean,
that.
it is terrible. Of course,
Yeah.
like you're like, I hate it. You're like, they're all throwing money at the same type of authors. What about this? But it's also a business. I recently heard Soman Shainani, he just started a podcast and he's brilliant. And but he was talking about sometimes creators and like authors get really frustrated. That their publisher will want things from them because they just want to write whatever they feel like writing. And he was like, but the thing is it is a business and
Mm.
and they have to make a profit if you want them to be able to publish their books. And maybe sometimes that's what's the difference between writing being a hobby and writing being your career is being able
Mm.
to recognize that you do have to not cave sometimes, but you have to recognize the marketing and how all of that works as a business. So you kind of have to, we don't all love the way it works, but I feel like you kind of have to accept that you're all in it together, sort of. You're all in the trenches trying to make your books sell and make these books sell. And, you know, it it,
Mm.
it is.
Yeah, no, I
It
find
is.
this
Yeah, it
topic
is what it
very
is.
interesting as well. And I'm curious, like, how has that manifested in your life, or have you experienced that where you felt like maybe you wanted to be writing something, but this door opened and you went through that door instead? How has that manifested for you?
Okay, I actually have been really lucky because rom-coms are my favorite. It's what I want to write.
Mm.
And that's what ended up taking off for me. So I feel like I've been really fortunate in that like my editors that I work with are all really delightful people who, if I pushed back, we have great working relationships where I don't feel like they'd ever be like, no, Lynn, you can't do this. I haven't yet experienced like, I want to write a witch book and they won't let me. But that's
Mm.
really because I love writing rom-coms and I'm not
Mm.
trying to write a witch book right now. So,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
haven't had to deal with that yet, but
Mm.
I know it exists where there's an author who wants to branch out and they're like, you know
Yeah.
what, your brand is kind of this. We don't want to get away from that. And I don't know how I would deal with that. But so far, I just like writing silly little love lovers. So I'm kind of stuck in a good spot.
Oh,
Yeah, well, it's
yes. And
working.
you're in a great spot. Yeah, it is working. You're in a perfect spot. When you like start to work on that next novel, what is like your writing technique? Are you a plotter, pantser? Is it like you're working close with your editors? Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
I was always a pantser. I'm just a really not an organized person. But once you get on deadlines, and your publisher is like, okay, we want to know what your book is about. You
Mm.
have to have a little bit of a plotting, because they expect to see outlines and things like that. So I've kind of become a hybrid where what I'll
Mm.
usually do, like if I'm coming up with a book idea, I buy these huge post-it notes that are like the size of my face. And I will kind of sit back and I'll outline, but I'll do it almost like cinematically where I'll think like, okay, the first scene, I want Liz to walk outside and her next door neighbor is on her car. And I want, the point of the scene is to introduce the two characters. And then I'll put that post-it note on my office wall. And then I'll be like, the next scene, she's at school. And the purpose of the scene would be this. And I'll put it up on my wall. And my wall will be covered with bright yellow post-its. And then when I get through the whole thing, then I'll just take them down one by one. And I'll be like, okay, we're writing this scene. And I feel like for me, it helped because outlines, I get really in my head and it starts to feel like homework and takes a little bit of the creativity out of it where you're like, okay, my assignment today is doing this. And then I get really hung up on like, is this the dark night of the soul? Do I have the right moment? Is this, I get in my own head about, did I get this wrong? So when I do it this way, it's like when I take down the scene to write it, I still have a lot of different directions to go in. I know the point of it, but then I can still just sit down and sort of just write. So it's kind of a marriage of the two that works for me.
Mm.
That's cool. I love that you said the purpose of the scene. I think that's something I personally need to work on is like because we're writing the scenes and it's fun and like it's just because, but the purpose of the scene
Well,
is important.
and I have to remind myself of that because I'm very much like a character-driven writer. I'm terrible about at plotting. And a lot of times I'll get like just today, I had a call with my agent because we're coming up with like the idea for my next adult rom-com. Like you're telling your editor, like, oh, these are my few ideas, which one do you like? And I sent them to her and she called me because she's kind of like, you know, only one of these is really a book. The other two are just like, wouldn't it be funny if this happened? And she was so right. A lot of times you can give me any idea and I can write 50 pages where I'm in love, 50 pages. And then all of a sudden I'm like, this is going nowhere. It's just fun, meet cute. So I really have to like remind myself that each scene like has a purpose because I would write all day in circles.
It's such a valuable thing to share because actually 50 pages is a lot. And I think a trap a lot of us fall into is writing that 50 pages and thinking there's got to be an end to this. There's got to
Yes.
be a story in this because I wrote 50 pages and almost a book. But you're right, like there's definitely those ideas that just like it's done. It was meant to be an anthology or something. Like the story's
Yes.
done in 50 pages and you keep trying to like restart and like sometimes you think it's writer's block, but sometimes it's literally that the story's told. There's
I feel
not
when I,
nowhere to go.
yes, every time I get asked about writer's block, I always have to say, like, there's a caveat. Writer's block is one thing, but I'm like, for me, a lot of times I just get started and I go to around 50 or 60 pages, and then I realize, like, I got started on a meet cute and I had a
Mm,
blast for 50 pages of bringing these two people together, but it's not a book. It doesn't really have a plot beyond these two met in this funny way and there's all this chemistry, and then you're like, but there's no conflict. There's no problem. They're already kissing. Like,
yeah.
so for me, I really have to remind myself, like, there has to be more plot, which is
Mm.
just not fun. I just want people to just kiss and exchange banter for an entire book.
Yes, yeah, we're here for the fun. We're here for the banter. But apparently, not everybody, is
Apparently.
here for the vibes, which I guess is fine. If they have structure, it's fine.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever, we'll go with it. Do you find this isn't on the questions, but do you find the difference now, like bumping into adult? Do you change your voice? Is it more like conflict? Like what is the key like difference? I'm just asking for myself. I
What's
want to learn right now.
I find it so interesting because I get asked this a lot. Like, do you approach YA and adult different? And what's weird, and it's probably specific to romantic comedy, or at least in my head it is I don't approach them any differently because I think of it like when you watch the rom-coms of the early aughts, right? Like when I think about 10 Things I Hate About You, I don't ever think of that as a teen rom-com. It's just a rom-com,
Right.
right? Or
Yeah.
like Princess Diaries, I don't think of that as a teen movie. It's just another amazing rom-com, right? So it's like when I start writing it, I don't approach it any differently. And I don't really think about voice because I feel like it's about the guy and the girl and where they're going. And then it just seems like in YA, the roadblocks that exist as a teenager, once you start injecting like parents, curfews, rules, laws, it's sort of YA's itself,
Mm.
but I
Hmm.
don't really think about injecting. Now I do feel like my YA, by the time it's finished, has a lot more emotion in it than my adult. Like I feel like if you like write a first draft, I could smash out an adult first draft way quicker and easier
Mm,
because I think of it as more just like I don't know. I don't know, more fun and relaxed where the youths, maybe I'm thinking more about emotion. But I also
Mm.
think recently I was asked about this, and I love YA because, a lot of times people will talk about like, oh, you're so emotional when you're a teenager. And I always sometimes think like, yeah, but I don't know if that's exactly it. And I think I figured out what it is at least for like me, when I was a teenager, what you a lot of times you do is you lean into your emotions as opposed to like now. Like if I feel sad about something, I'm going to turn on my happy playlist and get over it. Where when you are 17 and somebody breaks your heart, you're putting on your sad girl playlist. You are leaning into hours of regurgitating every awful thing that you said to each other, and you really lean into it, where I feel like as a coping mechanism, the older you get, the more you're like, nope, shutting that down. So
mm,
I feel like maybe that's why YA has such that like rich emotional resonance. The way that like when you hear a song from when you were 17, it still like hits you right here where you're like, why am I emotional about that boy whose name I can't even remember when I hear this song? And I feel like maybe it's
Yes.
because of that, you know?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You are so you're
yeah.
dead on. And today I was driving and I was listening to like a Pearl Jam song and I was like, "Oh, I remember."
Right?
That is so dead on. Oh my gosh. My mind has been blown. I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
love the way your brain works. It's very
It,
like and you're right though, but in I was also thinking as you said like about the roadblocks. That's so true. Like in a way, it's not so much that we change, it's that the expectations and the environment around us shift and yeah, you might have to put on that happy playlist because you can't just sit in your room and throw a tantrum, which we'd like to. You might
right?
just have to get on with your day. So as a coping mechanism, you just throw on the happy playlist that you know is going to shift your mood. But maybe as a teenager, you can just like wag school the next day and just sit in your room and just listen to the same song 20 times.
Thanks.
And it's
And then you have
okay.
all your friends to support you in your
Yeah.
sadness because they're all on their sad girl playlist and telling you Conan Gray songs to add to yours. Like it's all a big thing.
It is. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love that. Like my daughter specifically, like she has her sad girl playlist and she plays it so often. I'm like, "Okay, girl."
You're like, are you okay, kid?
She's like, "I'm fine. I'm just vibing. Like I'm just like in my feels." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, good for
Yeah, and
you."
it's like as we get older, you need to get out of your feels, right? You're like, I feel
Yeah.
sad, so I'm going to go shopping, or I'm going to do something to get unsad. Where it seems like
Yeah.
maybe it's just because you're stuck as a teenager. What else are you gonna do? You just
Yeah.
lean into it.
It's true. You're not gonna go buy a Halloween tree, from Walmart for 68 bucks on sale, you know?
You're gonna sit in your room, hate your parents that are downstairs, and think about that boy that broke your heart.
Ah, that's so true. Oh my gosh, I love this. I love this so much. Oh my gosh. Well,
Oh.
back to like your career a little bit. I wanted to like ask you what has been the hardest part
Mm.
of your journey so far?
The hardest part was probably the waiting. The hardest part was
Mm, yeah.
probably how long it took. Like I just remember going to Barnes and Noble, which was always my happy place, but going to the bookstore and just feeling like claustrophobic when I would see books that were similar to like what I was writing and just being like, "Oh, is it ever going to happen?" And I just remember it was just a lot of hard years of being like, "Is it ever going to happen?" and kind of not wanting to know because I wouldn't want to know. You don't want to stop writing and be like, "It's never going to happen." So I guess that was probably the hardest is waiting for it to actually happen.
Mm.
It's
Your
really good.
words are a balm, very specifically to my soul today.
Good, good. Because if it can happen to me, it could happen to anybody. Like it just, and sometimes it's just finding. I mean, one thing that
Mm.
I say is I'll see sometimes authors that will, like I have this author friend, she's a young writer, but I saw on her like Instagram last week that she got like 3 agent offers last week. And I was like, oh, that's so amazing. And I think, I only ever got one. Like I didn't ever have that path of like, I need to choose which one. Like she could have been the worst agent and she could have been, a scammer. But I was like, there's an agent who wants me, and luckily she ended up being the greatest, and I love
Yeah.
her. but I only ever got one yes, just one yes from an agent. So it just, it's a long path, but
Mm,
we'll get there.
yes.
Yes.
Well,
And that one
I
yes is
see.
it, that's what you need.
Yeah.
Just the
That's
one.
it.
Yeah.
I want to know. I see like we're slowly running out of time. I want to hear about your upcoming release. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, my next one comes out 2 weeks from tomorrow. It's called Fake Skating. It's a young adult
Mm,
sports rom-com. Although I always hesitate to say sports because it's not like it's deeply in sports. It's just there's
mm,
a sporty boy. Um, and it's a story of like childhood friends to, I guess, maybe enemies to lovers. It's a story of it's Danny and Alec. They grew up every summer. She's like a military kid. I just kind of like that where she moves around because her dad is in the Air Force. And but every summer, her and her mom would go back to her mom's hometown for a month. And her mom's best friend's son was her age. So when they were kids, every year for a month, she would hang out with Danny, and he was like a squishy little nerdy boy, and they'd run around the neighborhood for a month, and it was great. And then in middle school, they stop coming back, and then they sort of fall out of touch.
mm.
And then you fast forward, it's her senior year now, and her parents are getting divorced. So her and her mom are moving to that town, moving in with her grandpa. And she's not excited about this, but she's excited to reconnect with her squishy, nerdy friend, Alec, who she gets there and discovers that he's not excited to see her, that there was like a little off the page falling out that she kind of skipped over. And also that now he is not a squishy little nerdy boy, but he's, like the very strapping, tall captain of the hockey team. And so, and it's funny because, you get different book ideas. You guys know this for whatever reason. You're like, oh, I want to write this because of this. And this was honestly me just being like, there's not really many hockey YA, and people love hockey. So it was me being like a marketer, like sports romance, hockey, that would be a good idea, Lynn. But then my relatives, my favorite cousins live up in Minnesota in hockey land. So I road tripped up there to do research and like go to a bunch of hockey, like high school hockey games and practices. And then I just fell in love with this suburb they live in and the hockey community. And it's like everything about this town. Like after games, all the parents go to like the Croatian social hall. And it's like so charming. And like my cousin's kids, it's like that every man in town is like an honorary uncle because they all know her dad. And it's like I go there and I'm like, why didn't I grow up here? This is so it became like more of a found family book. Like it was gonna just be like hot hockey player romance. And it became a story of like Danny like finding her place in the world and reconnecting with family she didn't know that she needed. And it became probably my favorite book that I've written. And that kind of shocked me because it literally started out me being like hot hockey boy romance.
I think
Yeah.
that's the thing though. It's like adding those layers,
Yeah.
right? It's like adding that good, like the butter, right? It's like all that good, yummy stuff. I love
Yeah.
that. And I noted I saw Melanie light up when you mentioned the Croatian
Yeah,
side
because
of
I'm
things where she is.
Croatian.
Yeah.
Oh, you are? Oh
Yeah, so I
my
was
gosh,
like, I never expected you to say that. That's why I was cackling. I was just like, wait, what?
that is so funny every time because now, ever since the first time I went up there for hockey research,
Yeah.
um, my sister and I, like, these were the cool cousins when we were little that we saw once a year, you know? So my sister and I now, like, every other month, they're like, don't we need to go up there and do more research? But they go to the Crow, their Croatian social. My sister is a member now, and we are not Croatian, but we
I
go
love
to the
that.
Crow every single time. My sister is obsessed with it because it's a bar in a basement, basically, and like a big social hall. But
Amazing.
everybody in the community, and there's all this history. There used to be meat packing plants in this community. And so they built the Croatian social hall so that all of the Croatian immigrants had a place to have like
Wow.
weddings and get together after their work. And it's like this beautiful thing. Look at me. Now I'm all like, Croatian social hall.
I love
But
it. I didn't know there were really Croatians in America, so I'm
right?
like
Apparently
dazzled.
Minnesota. That's the place.
Okay.
But yeah. So yeah, it became this thing where now I'm obsessed with it. So
I love that. We
Glorious.
love Croatian rep in books. I haven't seen too much now that I think about it, besides Melanie.
there's also a
So,
Polish social hall we hang out there too. So it
Ooh,
brought all cultures into South St. Paul.
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
glorious.
This book sounds so freaking good. I cannot freaking wait. The cover is awesome. All your covers are great. But this cover, I definitely caught my eye when I saw it because I was like, we do need more skating, like ice skate books. So yes, I appreciate it. Well, I think we are like running out of time, and I don't want us to get cut off. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us,
Yes, thank
for
you for
being an
inviting
absolute
me.
delight and joy, and really you took us to a writer workshop as
Yeah.
well. So thank you.
You
Wow,
took
that's
us
weird. I don't usually have anything educational to say
you
on
took
the
You
us to
got
show.
us
writer
today.
you took us to writer workshop, you took us to writer therapy, you took us to all the places. So thank you.
My job is done. Now I can go eat popcorn and go to bed.
I mean, I feel like you've earned it, you know? I feel like you should definitely have them.